Hello, I'm David Hughes. Welcome to Your Perfect Body, the podcast of the Esoteric Teaching community. Today's selection is a short essay entitled, What Really Matters? What do I mean when I say that consciousness is intrinsically subjective? Life is lived from the inside. At the end of the day, it's not important what you gained or who you defeated. It's not important who you impressed, who you deceived, or what they think of you. Externals like that are trivial. What really matters is whether you are happy. And happiness has nothing to do with externals. I've seen people who have everything and work very hard to look happy. And if you ask them, they will insist that they are happy. But if you watch them, they are continually on guard against anything that threatens their happy act. They are so tense, they cannot possibly be happy in the sense that I use the word. On the other hand, I've seen people in India who have very little in the way of material things, yet they are very happy. I've seen people living in a cardboard box next to a garbage dump who are happier than people with million-dollar McMansions in gated communities. What kind of happiness is this? It's a kind of inner spiritual happiness that has nothing to do with what you do or have. It has nothing to do with your external personality or image. External happiness is phony and temporary. I'm talking about real happiness, the kind of happiness that comes from inside, directly from consciousness itself, from what you are as a spiritual being. I mean happiness that is unaffected by material conditions, that springs from a deep recognition of who you are, apart from this body. Can you tell me who you are before you are born and after you die? If not, then you are not capable of the kind of happiness I am talking about. If your only sense of identity is in relation to this body, then the only happiness you can have is the temporary, external kind. If your only sense of identity and happiness is in relation to the current body, then you're in trouble. No matter how well you think you're doing now, something is going to come along and change your situation. Something called time. Remember when you were 3 years old? What kind of body did you have then? Where has that body gone? You are separated from it by time. Similarly, time will also separate you from your present body. Everyone tells themselves a story that they are working on a perfect body and that they are separated from it only by time. To support this rationalization, they try to position themselves in relation to things that symbolize that perfect body to them. Possessions, relationships, labels, and designations. People go to the gym and the beauty parlor seeking designations like handsome and beautiful, muscular and slim. They seek relationships with people who will advance their career, knowledge, or social standing. They work so hard to increase their bank balance or decrease their waistline. But all this effort will not make them happy, because all these relationships, possessions, and designations are external. These things are not happiness. Happiness comes from knowledge of eternity and spiritual wisdom. It comes from deep meditation and success in self-realization. It comes from a certain transformation of one's worldview or ontology. Practitioners of the esoteric teaching know how to find real happiness. We have known for many thousands of years. But as long as people continue to seek happiness in places where it is not found, there is little we can do to help them. As long as people continue looking outside themselves, As long as they deceive themselves with counterfeit stories about their quest for a perfect body, they cannot be helped. What really matters at the end of the day is knowing that whatever happens, one's happiness is assured. When happiness is found within, external changes cannot shake it. And when happiness rests on one's sweet realization of the Absolute, nothing can destroy it. This is real happiness. I want to say a few more words on this topic that are not contained in the written essay, so I'll just extemporaneize here for a minute. One's sense of happiness is very closely tied to one's sense of identity. So if our identity is tied to this temporary material body, then our happiness will also be temporary and conditional. Today I may be on top of the world and doing very well, and tomorrow, who knows? We could lose everything. And we will lose everything at the time of death, remember. We recently went through a big hurricane here, and a lot of people did lose everything. And most of them became very unhappy. That was because their sense of happiness was tied to their story of their approach to perfection. And their story was based on their material body. This is their ontology. An ontology is a collection of stories that gives meaning to existence. So, when a person's storyline is broken by unanticipated occurrences, they are plunged into distress, and we've seen this over and over and over again in this life. How to avoid this? Well, the ultimate cure for all unhappiness is to realize one's real self, the soul, the spiritual living entity, the eternal identity, the perfect body. Your perfect body already exists because it is eternal. It is never created, and therefore it can never be destroyed. It is never born, and therefore it does not die. Real happiness is happiness based on the spiritual body. Happiness based on the soul, on pure consciousness. And this is the kind of happiness that is attainable through spiritual culture, and specifically the change in ontology that occurs when one becomes a fully realized practitioner of the esoteric teaching. That is to say, we are not putting our happiness into the future and saying, well, when we die, we're going to go to heaven. No. This is not an ordinary religious practice, but a fully spiritual practice that brings one to complete realization of one's spiritual existence. In that state, there is no misery, because one is fully aware of one's eternal identity, and that identity is full of happiness, full of knowledge and bliss. So, we hope you stay with us on this journey to exploring the esoteric teaching. And now I have some very exciting news for you. The Esoteric Teaching Introductory Seminar, The Hidden History of Yoga, will be published on this weblog and podcast in installments in the future. So all the material that was formerly available only on DVD will now be coming out through this channel. So stay tuned. We hope you stay with us and get the benefit of this ancient, great teaching. This is David Hughes, hoping you've enjoyed this installment of Your Perfect Body, our podcast from the Esoteric Teaching. Please join us again and benefit from these spiritual teachings that help you attain your real perfect body. And don't forget to visit us on the web at esotericteaching.org.